Hot take, but I am starting to get really concerned with the number of headlines I'm seeing regarding AI. If you watched my previous video, you would know that Nvidia just partnered with OpenAI. And now here we are 2 days later, and Nvidia is again partnering with somebody, but this time it is the Chinese company Alibaba. In today's video, I want to talk about the news regarding the Alibaba partnership. I want to give you my reasoning on why I'm starting to get concerned with the volume of AI nowadays. And then be sure to stick around until the end of the video because I'm going to show you what my next move would be if there were to be a downturn in the stock market here through the end of 2025 or going into the first half of 2026. Let's not waste any more time and let's get right into the Alibaba news. Alibaba is at its highest level in almost 4 years after they announced that they will boost AI spending beyond their original commitment of more than $50 billion. They didn't really give any kind of number in terms of how much they're going to spend, but just with this news, the stock is up almost 9% after CEO Eddie Wu said during a conference in China that a worldwide investment in AI is estimated to reach $4 trillion over the next 5 years, and that Alibaba must keep pace. The article continues by stating that Alibaba is going to partner with Nvidia to integrate the chip giant's AI development tools used for training for robotics and self-driving cars. However, the financials of the deal were not released. And Alibaba's actually a stock that I used to own back in the day. I haven't really kept an eye on it because, just as the article stated, there hasn't really been much exciting news regarding the stock for about 4 years. And if memory serves right, it was actually around 2020 when I decided to sell my very small position. At that time, Alibaba was growing like crazy, and I just did not want to miss out on any of those gains. So I started a very small position only for the stock to shoot up like, I want to say it was 30 to 40% in the span of a couple of months. And if you have been watching my channel for any period of time, you would know that if I start a position but then it shoots up within, let's say, a quarter or two, and if I don't get to build out that position to the size that I wanted to, I'll just go ahead and cash out of the position, take those gains, and then start looking for another stock. And that's pretty much what happened with Alibaba. But it also did not help Alibaba's case at all that the US and China have had a trade war essentially going on for what feels like the last 6 years. Add to that Chinese stocks are not as trusted as US stocks. And after doing some research, I found that there's really nobody double checking these Chinese stocks' earnings or reports. They kind of just say what they need to say in order for their stock to shoot up, and nobody's any the wiser. Everybody just kind of takes it at face value. Compare that to the United States, where we have the SEC, we have all sorts of organizations and all kinds of government regulations to keep people in check. Because if there's one thing that we know about human nature, it's unfortunately that people will lie, cheat, and steal if there's a monetary gain coming into their future. So we know that that's the case, and that is exactly why we have checks and balances here in the United States to make sure that people are actually bringing in the types of revenue or the types of earnings that they say they are. Having said all of those good things about the United States, let's move on to my concerns right now with the economy and how this stock market is shaping up, in my opinion. And my number one concern right now is the question that keeps rearing its ugly head in my mind, and that is, what if this AI hype is the only thing keeping the stock market up right now? Because, well, I'm about to show you a couple of stock charts here in a second, but it seems to me like the only stocks that are doing very well at the moment are any kind of stocks that are related to AI in any way. Alibaba shoots up with AI news. Nvidia has been the poster child of AI for like the last 3 or 4 years. Then you have your usual, Amazon, Meta, Google. So any kind of stock that is associated with AI has been doing very well. But then you have this other group of stocks that have no association with AI, and they have been struggling tremendously for the last 2 years. And this is exactly what I would refer to as a K-shaped economy, with anything related to AI completely shooting up. Sometimes they don't even have the numbers to back it. It's just the news itself or being associated as an AI company. That is enough to get your stock up, several percentage points in a day. And it seems like that hype train just keeps on growing. And most of these stocks that have been struggling have been doing so for the last 4 or 5 years, it seems like. So basically ever since the end of COVID, with rampant inflation, with interest rates so high, and an overall weakening consumer. So here's where I'm asking you, do you think we are setting up for a downturn here at the end of 2025 or the first half of 2026? Because just have a look at this graph here. Like I mentioned earlier, I grouped together a bunch of stocks that are known for AI. Also, just want to highlight, this is over the past year, the time frame that we're looking at for these stocks. So Meta is up 33% over the last year. Alibaba is up 65%. I mean, absolutely crushing everybody else on this chart. Amazon has been the laggard here. It looks like they're only up about 17%. Nvidia up 45%, and Google up 50% in the last year. And see, if the stock market was just composed of those stocks, everybody would be making money. Everybody would be saying, wow, times are great. Everybody is doing so well right now. The stocks just keep climbing month after month. I have no complaints here. But that's not the case. Now let's have a look at a group of stocks that I have collected, some stocks that I've been keeping an eye on over the last year, which are not related to AI in any way. And again, this group of stocks, we are looking at how they have performed over the last year. So as you can see here, we only have 2 stocks here that are actually green or in the green over the last year. Kroger has done pretty decent. They're up 16%. Then you have Johnson & Johnson up 9%. But then we get into some stocks that are really having a hard time. Starbucks is down 12%. And if you're a viewer of the channel, you know that I did an in-depth analysis of Starbucks because it's actually a stock that I have owned, have been keeping an eye on because it is the biggest underperformer in my stock portfolio. Next, you have Nike, which is down 20% over the last year, and the absolute worst stock here of the bunch, Target, down 43% over the last year. There are some companies out here that are genuinely struggling. Target is another company that I have talked about here on the channel because I was actually interested in buying the stock. But after seeing declining revenues for the last 2 to 3 years, I decided to hit the brakes on that until I see a turning point in the company. And as you can see by the stock, they have been struggling, down 43% over the last year, which is insane. But again, it just gets me thinking about the number of companies that are not doing well right now. Target, Starbucks, Nike, you could argue that those are very focused on a consumer who is doing well. Anytime somebody has some extra money, maybe they go splurge on a coffee. Maybe they go to Target so they can do some shopping. Or maybe they go to Nike to get themselves a nice new pair of shoes. But again, if the consumer is not in a good place, they don't have the extra money to be spending with these companies, and therefore why these companies have not been performing the way some people have expected. If I'm so concerned about the economy, and if I think that the stock market is going to take a turn for the worst, what is going to be my next move? Well, my number one strategy for a downturn in the stock market is to always have cash on hand. Because there is nothing worse than having the stock market tank, great companies are at great prices, and you have no money to take advantage of that opportunity. It is the absolute worst. You never want to be in a position like that. Generally, for me, I like to have 3 to 5% in cash in my portfolio that is just ready to buy whenever there are opportunities. Right now, I'm actually a little bit higher than normal. I have about 7% in cash right now. But that is because the stock market has been doing tremendous for the last year. So I decided, you know what? Things are looking a little too good right now. Let's cash out of some positions. Let's hold some cash just in case this market were to go down. I'm mostly invested even if the stock market were to continue to rally. So it's a win-win regardless. You just need to keep a small percentage of your portfolio in cash just in case, because you never know when the stock market is going to turn. But whether it goes up, great, you're mostly invested. If it goes down, also good. You have money ready to buy stocks at cheaper prices. The second strategy that I might employ is potentially buying some puts. I will be sure to make a video of it and let you know exactly which stocks I chose and also give my reasoning. And the final option that I have here is I may potentially buy some SQQQ. For those of you who do not know, SQQQ is a triple leveraged ETF basically that is the inverse of the NASDAQ. So if the NASDAQ does well, the SQQ does 3 times as bad. But if the NASDAQ goes down, well then that triple leverage will definitely help out your account while the rest of your portfolio tanks, because it is going to be shooting up like crazy as the NASDAQ goes down. Again, it's just an option that I'm looking at the moment, but given some of the cracks I'm starting to see in the stock market, it is becoming more and more interesting as an option in my portfolio. Thank you so much to everybody who has made it until this point in the video. Be sure to give me a like and also drop a comment of how you're feeling going into the end of 2025. Be sure to let me know. I want to see your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.